All right. Aloha mai kako, adepts and initiates. Hope all is well out there in the world. Kia ora Tengan here, just tuning in to some attunements going on right now and hanging out here with Drake Pohaku in the back, doing a little coloring and contemplating a new segment that I'm going to be working on. Part of this is tied to my ebook, which is all about the awakening process. And there'll be an entire piece which is going to be really just dedicated to this exact segment. So in the Genius, as I've talked about, there are parts and pieces to it. There is our intuitive talents, there are transferable skills, there are our core values, and our energetic patterns. And one thing that I feel is really worthwhile and really deep diving into is this concept of intuitive talents. Now, this is where our superpowers are. This is where our magic exists. And these are effectively the skill set that we've developed in our incarnational cycles and through our experiences in space and time. And so as we look at this, it's a really interesting thing because it's something that is and has consciously been cultivated through the different incarnational cycles that we've existed in. And so as such, it's really very interesting because as we look at those intuitive talents, and my perspective is a little bit different, yet it's something that allows us to really connect with not just the abilities that we have, I would say also what it is that we are here to do. Now, that's a whole loaded statement, so let me explain a little bit. Intuitive talents, then, are very much like our own faculties, sensory faculties: sight, sound, smell, taste, and touch. Yet we also have two others that are in there as well: proprioception, our capacity to monitor our place in space, and electroreceptors, which are also very keen to the subtle yet profound experiences of electromagnetic activity. Now, as such, we also have corresponding agencies, if you will, on the metaphysical side. And this ties into not just our intuitive organs, also how that relates to really creating for each and every one of us the experiences of everyday life, right? And so for most of us, we use our eyes, right? And so we use our eyes to tune into what's happening around us. Yet, what if other areas were heightened, right? And I love superhero lore, so I kind of think about Daredevil and his ability to hear things, right? To have almost this extra sensory organ that exists that can tune into the subtleties of vibration. We think about that in terms of like sharks hunting, right? It's not just a matter of sight. There are absolutely parts that come in terms of smell, yet there's also something else there as well. And we all have those friends who are super sensitive to smell, right? The subtle, yet for them incredibly profound sensory organ that is smell, and being able to smell the, changes in body temperature, the odors that we give off, sometimes even things beyond that, which is beyond obviously the physical aspects as well. And so as we look at this, though, through the lens of these intuitive talents, breaking them down in terms of physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual, or otherwise kinesthetic, empathic, psychic, and energetic. And these talents then really allow us to paint a very different picture in terms of human experience. And that allows us that as we look at those, especially aligned in primary, secondary, tertiary, and quaternary, first, second, third, and fourth levels of awareness and sensation, then what we're really able to do is have a very specific area of expertise. For example, right? I am an energetic, kinesthetic, psychic empath. And so what that means is my primary two areas of connection and really of perception is that energetic, kinesthetic. Well, what does that exactly mean? So it means that within the energetic realm, right, it's something that's much more intangible, right? It's something that's more difficult to necessarily directly perceive. And at the same time, with each and every one of these, it's going to be more tangible and intangible. It's going to be much more projective or receptive. And as we look at those areas by the nature of how it is that we perceive, it can absolutely affect directly the ways in which we believe. Now, what that means is that we are able to perceive certain things, and that then can really expand upon what it is that we're able to also believe in, what we're able to actually sense into, and what it is that where it is actually that we are able to direct our awareness towards. And that's a cool thing, because that means that each and every one of us has a different level of perception. As we talk about truth, for example, we are able to, each and every one of us, hold a part of a bigger puzzle of what it is that is truth. And the lens through which we perceive it in is a specialized lens that each and every one of us, our higher intelligence, our greater self, however you want to present it, has made a decision to have this specific type of experience. And so those first two tie to our intuitive talent. The lower aspects tie into areas that we're not as able to perceive. For me, psychic empathic means that I've worked upon those areas in terms of psychic abilities. However, for the first probably 20 years of my life, I didn't really consider too much about considering. I was happy to just kind of go along with, not necessarily ask more critical or rational questions. And that's something that I've really built up in my own life, in this life at least, as well as that empathic piece. Things like journaling, things like myofascial and somatic release, things in terms of like therapy have been areas that I've really worked upon to continue to strengthen these areas that I have a greater opportunity to build up in this lifetime. And so as we look at this, I'm going to be diving deeply into primarily focusing, at least on this first segment, on those aspects of our primary and secondary, and breaking them up into those different areas of kinesthetic, empathic, psychic, and energetic, to give a more holistic perspective on all of these different areas and how it is that we can really work with our own superpowers and intuitive talents. I feel like that's a good introduction for now. That's it. I'll have these segments out here on the YouTube station for those who are interested. For now, love and aloha. Take care, and ahui ho.